This is 6.4. It has quite a few topics, so we're going to spend 2 days on it. They all have to do with rational expressions, which are fractions with polynomials in there. So this first problem, we have a fraction minus a fraction, and the denominators match. So if the denominators match, then you just keep the denominator the same, and then you subtract the top. So 8 minus 5 would be 3. Easy enough. If it was, say, 8x minus 5, then it would just be 8x minus 5. Okay. Least common multiple. What is the smallest number, smallest term that 9y to the third and 12y go into? Not the greatest common factor, not a factor, but what is the smallest number that both of those go into? You could times them together. You could say 9y to the third times 12y squared, and you get 108y to the fourth, but that's not the smallest one. That's a factor. We're going the other way. We're looking for a multiple. So it actually is 36y to the third. So how do we find that? Well, what we do is factor these down. 9 is 3 times 3, y. And 12 factors down to 2 times 2 times 3 times y. And then we go through and we circle the biggest set. So we look at the 2's. What is the biggest set of 2's? A pair of 2's. So we do 2 times 2. And then we look at the 3's. What is the biggest set of 3's? A pair of 3's. And what is the biggest set of y's? 3 y's. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, times 3 is 36, y to the third. Okay? Why does that work? Well, we want to know what is the smallest number that 9 and 12 go into. Well, 9 is made up of 2 3's, and 12 is made up of 2 2's and a 3. So all of these have to show up in this list. And all of these have to show up in that list. So we just pick the biggest set. The biggest set is guaranteed to be large enough to cover both sides. So let's say I had 12x squared and 50x to the third. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, and 50 is 2 times 5 times 5. How many 2's do I have to put in my answer? Nope, I just choose the biggest set. So a pair of 2's. How many 3's? 1, 3. The biggest set is this one. And then what about 5's? The biggest set would be 5 times 5. Oh, so what is that going to be? So that's 12. 12 times 25, which would be 300. So 300. And then what is the biggest set of x's? X to the third. Okay, let's look at 24 x to the third and 36 x to the fourth. So 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. How many 2's need to be in my answer? The biggest set would be a triplet. How many 3's need to be in my answer? So that's 8 times 9 is 72. and then x to the fourth. Can you guys remember that? All right. Okay. Here, we have to treat each of these denominators like a single number. So my common denominator is going to be x minus 7 and x minus 1. Okay, so we treat this like a single number and we treat this like a single number. So I need one of each. I need the biggest set of each of them. Okay, what if my denominators were x minus 7, x plus 7, and then x minus 7 and x plus 1? What would the common denominator be? So it would be x minus 7, x plus 7, and x plus 1. Why? I need the biggest set of those. So I choose either one. I don't need both of them. I just need the biggest set. And then I need one of these and I need one of those. Okay. So here I have 7y on one side and 2 times 2 times y on the other side. So what's going to be in my common denominator? I need a 7, I need a pair of 2's, and I need a y. So biggest set, biggest set, biggest set. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, what is this fraction missing from this list? So it has a 7y, so it has this one, and it has this one, but it's missing a 4. So I need to times the top by 4. So I get 32 minus, what is this fraction missing? It has the 2's and it has the y, so it needs a 7. So the answer is going to be negative 3 over 7 times 4 is 28 y. And let's do another one of those. All right, so 2d and 2 times 2 times 2 times d. What is going to be in my common denominator? 3 2's. With 2 times 2 times 2 would be 8d. What is the first fraction missing from this list? So what does the first fraction not already have? It has 1 2 and it has 1 d. So it's missing a pair of 2's. So I times that number by 4, which is negative 28. What is the second fraction missing? Nothing. It's got it all. This fraction is 2 times 2 times 2 times d. The common denominator is 2 times 2 times 2 times d. So that one doesn't need anything. And we get negative 31 over 8d. Okay, let's say we had 4 over 6x minus 7 over 9x. So 6x is 2 times 3 times x, and 9x is 3 times 3 times x. What goes in my common denominator? So a 2 and a pair of 3's and the x. Okay. What is the first fraction missing? What is in the bottom list that is not in? Nope, it's missing a 3. 2 times 3 times x, 2 times 3 times 3 times x. So this is missing a 3, which would be 12. Okay, on the other side, what are we missing? A 2. So this one has a pair of 3's and an x. This one has a 2 and a pair of 3's and an x. So we times this by 2. So 12 minus 14 is negative 2 over, and then we put all this together. 2 times 3 times 3 is 18x. Oh, and then this one actually simplifies. We can take out a 2, so negative 1 over 9x. Yeah, so it says simplify as much as possible. None of them simplified yet, but that one did. Okay, how do you take a fraction and divide a fraction? You flip the bottom one. So this gets flipped upside down. X times x plus 5. Okay, so x plus 5 cancels x plus 5. And this x cancels one of those x's. And I'm left with 1 over x to the third. Okay, those are pretty easy. Okay, same idea here from a couple problems ago. What goes in my common denominator? A 5 and a pair of 2's and a y. What is the first fraction missing? 4y. What is the second fraction missing? A 5. So I end up with 12y minus 35. So 12y minus 35 over 20y. Do these three numbers have any factors in common? They don't have any in common, so it doesn't cancel. What if they're all divisible by 4? Then just remove a 4 from everything. Yep. Okay, we'll stop there. Okay, get working on 6.4.